Good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I think you can. I think everything's working. So I have this is the sad part of maybe it's sad, maybe it's not. It's December, and the thing that excites me about hockey is this new podcast stuff. I have these headphones, I have the microphone, I have the mixer over here. So I had a fun night of just messing with this thing, and I figured I would try it and use it. And here we are on our way running. And as I called this little stream thing we're doing here, just out of nowhere, because why not? I'm bored at night, is everything is on fire. And I feel like that is what is happening with this hockey team. So, where to begin? Where to begin? Where to begin? There's a lot that I have to say. Which is surprising usually for these, is I feel like I do one and then it starts recording and then I don't really have a lot to say. But I do. I have a lot to say today. And I think the way you break this entire thing down is into parts, right? I think there's a team aspect, there's a coach aspect, and there's a general manager aspect to all of this. And I think there's varying degrees. So let me start with a few things here, okay? I'm not going to blame anybody for being upset, for thinking this isn't going to work, that it's going to be a failure again for the, I don't know what, fourth, fifth GM we're on now. I don't blame anybody for not caring anymore, not watching anymore, not wanting to watch anymore. That is well within your right and totally understandable. What I will say is, if you're going to watch us, listen to this, is I'm not going to be at the house is burning down. My approach is a little more level-headed, and maybe if Anthony was here, we'd be on varying sides of this, and that's why we kind of balance each other well, but it's just me. So you get the level-headed side today. And while I guess we'll start with it looks bad on December 20th. The season is like it's over, like unless they go on some bananas run, which they won't. It is what it is. So now what? We've been in this spot before where seasons have been over pretty early in the season, and we know how to deal with it and what to do with it. So what do we do now? Well, as I started talking about that, let me get back to where I wanted to go. While it looks bad now, this thing isn't doomed. I guess you could say the Kevin Adams project isn't doomed. He didn't make any moves, which is bad. But on the good side, he still has himself set up in a position where he can rectify this thing. The world isn't over here. That means he does have to do things, which, I was talking to people earlier today that I think he's in a spot now where if you think it's just going to be next year's going to roll it back again, no. Like I don't think he's in a spot where he could do that. I think he understands the approach he took this year is a failure. So I think there has to be a point now where he has to change his approach, because really, I mean, not that I agree with it, but logically you could look at it as he is on 2 years of continual growth, right? So he had 2021, 22. We saw it a little bit. 22, 23 was that big jump here, right? So you had a lot of guys have career years. And then I think the mistake came in is when he decided he was going to try to bank on a third year of growth. And that's where the mistakes came in. You're not going to – you're just most likely not going to get that. And I think that is where his failure is. Now he has to correct that. Unfortunately, there's nothing in season that I think he can do to fix this team. Outside of maybe firing the coach, which we'll get to the coach in a minute. Maybe you get some sort of crazy run from that. But even if you think about the players that are available right now, Calgary's guys, they already got one guy off of Columbus. There's really not that many interesting players. Like I'm not really signing up to get Elias Lindholm and give him money for a long time. I don't think Noah Hanifin is that good. Chris Tanev isn't going to come here. No, like they're not good. He's not coming here. Like that's not a thing. So there's really not a lot of solutions right now that he could do from a roster standpoint. Fine, it is what it is. But that doesn't mean in the summer that there can't be things done, or even at this point to set himself up in a spot. Maybe something does shake free. Maybe you can figure something out right now. He doesn't have to wait. But I do think that it's gonna come and it'll happen. So what does he do in the meantime? I think the only card that he has to play, and I've just apparently just gone right to the general manager portion of this. The only card he has to play is the coach. So since we're at the coach, the natural jump here. I was about to say this made me almost laugh when you were talking about it. That's why I put it up. That's pretty good. So I did want to give this person credit who's put up 2 comments now. So there you go. You get your airtime. Congratulations. Good for you. It made me laugh. Back to the general manager. Well, the coach actually is what I went to. I like Don. I think that Don did a lot, and I said it in the podcast this past week, did a lot to get them where they are. I think he deserves an opportunity to see this thing through. For the entirety of the season is where I was over the weekend. That approach for me has changed. I don't think you can continue to put up these types of games and logically keep him around and do it in good faith, right? It's just yesterday, I think, was the first time for me where I really felt that he's starting to lose this team. So they make a goalie change, right? In most situations, those are supposed to give you some sort of spark. You see the team jump from it. Made the goalie change, bang, bang, 2 goals. Okay, that didn't work. So then during commercial break, they talked about how he calls the team around together. He kind of seems like he's laying into them. Nobody really knows what's being said, but nonetheless, he called the team together. They have a big group meeting. After that, bang, another goal. So it just seems to me that it's not getting, I don't want to say not getting through, but just maybe it's run its course, right? And that's the way it is in the in the NHL. Guys just don't last very long. It runs its course. A lot of coaches, unless you're the best, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Colorado, you don't stick around for that long, right? So I think maybe we're at that point now. I also think that some of the decisions that he's made from a roster standpoint, a lineup standpoint, is confusing. We talked about that in the podcast too. So that's one thing that I think goes against him. I think some of his in-game tactics are a little bit off, right? I think, like, again, managing the team, he gets to pulling Levi when it's 4-1. Then, well, why didn't you just do it at 3-1? Again, it probably doesn't change anything because we saw pulling the goalie didn't work. But why wait for one more? Because then maybe it does. Maybe it's a 2-goal game instead of a 3-goal game, and it's things like that. If it was in your head to do it, then why not just do it and try to spark a team? It's not so much it was Levi's fault. All those 2 of those goals, you can argue, were pretty poor. It's doing something. It's calling the timeouts. It's changing things up within the game, the way you're approaching, the way the team is attacking you, how you're going to counter that. And I think that's the biggest thing, which I'm going to get to in a minute here, is I don't think he really has an answer for how teams have countered him. I think they went into this season, and we heard about it earlier, they were going to have a heavier focus on defense, right? That was their approach. That was their plan. We heard Eric Johnson talk about it. We heard Dylan Cousins talk about it. We heard the coach talk about it. They were, and it's not wrong. It was the right approach. I just think that they maybe went a little bit too heavy into it. And then now the logic is, God, this cough, man. I've had it for like 3 weeks and it just pops up. I don't know when it doesn't go away. The logic now is, okay, just tell them to go back to doing what they were doing. But it's not that simple, right? It's that you have a message that you've drilled into them all throughout training camp early in the season that we were going to play. And then you're going to tell them, don't do that. Now we're going to go back to the way it was. Well, which one is it? Am I trying to get out of here? And then my confidence is shot because it didn't work early in the season. And then my mind's going in and, oh my God, there's somebody right on top of me. And I better just get it out. Or I better just throw it over here or get it out of danger, throw it over there, or just get through my shift without causing any issues or problems. It's it's so all over the place, right? So all over the place. So there's a few things I want to show you. Okay, so let's see if I can get this to work properly. Give me a minute here. Okay. We're going to go to clips. We're going to clips, people. So hang in there with me here. These are fun. So we're going to look at some clips here, right? So you're seeing a lot of these start to make their rounds on Twitter. And so I just went back and grabbed a few clips from some recent games. Some of these games I just clipped myself when I made notes watching games. So here's one here. So when this play starts, let's go back to the beginning here. When it starts, he dumps the puck out of the zone and wait for the beginning. And here we go. Okay, so here's the beginning of the play. Throwing up the wall. Eric Robinson fails to get it out. Goes back in the corner. Chasing the puck around, chasing the puck around, chasing the puck around. Oh, we got it finally. But wait, we've been defending for, a minute. Time to make a change and get out. Okay. That's fairly common. We see that very often. Okay, let's go to this one here. Power. So puck goes in the corner, comes out in front. What am I going to do? I'm going to throw it off the wall. Give it right back. Here come the Coyotes right back in again. Again, common. See it all the time. Here's another one. We're going to start this one over again. Darlene, got time. Oh, panic, just throw it over here. You got time. Just don't panic whip it. You have time. It's just, this is where you get into the confidence thing, right? It's confidence. It's panic. It's just plenty of time. Nope, I'm just going to whip it over here to nobody, and here they come back again. Let's go to one of my favorite plays happens, all the time here, right? So Tyson Yost got some time, got some outlets. Nope, high and hard off the glass, right out to Minnesota. Here they come back in. Off the glass, into the neutral zone. Here comes Minnesota right back in. So, those are a couple quick examples, right? There's other ones. One of my favorite things that I saw yesterday, there's actually two great plays. And I tried to pull them, but ESPN Plus told me I was blacked out because I have to wait a little bit longer if I pull these clips. Was the Peyton Krebs when he has time coming along the wall out of the zone, has time, has space, but just floats the puck out to the neutral zone, come right back in. Then there was one off a draw. Clifton gets it, skates up the ice. And what he does before he gets to the red line, I remember this, he dumps it in thinking that Victor Olofsson, who was already behind the defenseman, is going to win a race to beat the defenseman to the puck before it's an icing. Well, guess what happens? It's an icing. The puck comes all the way back down. So this is all just, I think, compounding of an issue of a system that they don't have answers for and that isn't working, and they continue to play. So I think it's a few things. I think they're trying to make more safe defensive plays, just get the puck out so they're not giving up opportunities, which I understand that, but it's also hurting your transition and hurting your ability to generate offense, and that was one of your best things you did last year, and that's why all your numbers are down. I think what else it's doing is I think, again, it's a lack of confidence, like I mentioned. So you're just trying to get pucks out and not make mistakes because you're so focused on all the mistakes, and the puck ends up in your net, and I think that's part of it. And then I think the other part of it is they just straight up don't have an answer for what to do in the neutral zone. They have no answer. Teams have figured out if we just line up a 1-3-1 or if we just make passes in the neutral zone, clog it up, that they'll just give it up. And that's just what happens. And then on top of it, their passing has been horrendous the entire season on exits, on entries, in the offensive zone. Just horrible. And that was not a sign of this team last year. And I think that also gets back, which we'll get to the players in a minute. I think that gets into a performance thing where that's not on the coach. If you're in the NHL and you can't make passes, that is a player issue, not a coach issue. But getting back to the system quickly, that's, I think, my biggest thing against Don. And that's he was a great development coach, right? He did a lot of good things to get them where they are. He got Tage going, Darlene going, Power going last year, Cousins took a step, Middlestat. Like, he did, I think, what his job was. Now the question always was going into this season, is he going to be a guy that can get them to this next level? Can he make the tactician moves in game? Can he design a system where you have to counter what the opponent is doing to you? In 33 games, the answer is emphatically no. He can't, because it's continually the same things every night, night in and night out, that we see these plays I just showed. And there's more egregious ones, and there's more egregious ones on Twitter if you look for them too, of similar things. So I think, again, that's just another sign that it just doesn't work. And it's unfortunate. I wanted to work with Granato, but it's not the end of the world, right? He did his role. He served you to this point. Now it's time to do something else. Who that something else is, I don't know. I don't. You can Jay Woodcroft, sure, maybe. I don't know. Do you? I mean, I don't want to promote Matt Ellis. I don't think that's a great idea. Seth Apper, like I kiddingly, half jokingly said it on Twitter yesterday. I mean, I don't know. Do you want more offense? And maybe he'll get you that. But again, it's another development coach. His role is developing players. That's what he's done throughout his entire career. He's not really that next stage coach. So that doesn't, maybe he's the guy for the rest of the season. Yeah, sure, fine. But I think they have to do something in the offseason. I saw somebody in the comments mention Rob Brendamore. I'm a little bit different there. I don't think he fits this team as constructed. I think his system is not what's best for this team in the way they want to play. And you can say if that's a good or a bad thing. But regardless, that's how I feel. And then I don't think we want to go into a situation where you're trying to overturn your roster significantly. Of course, you want to do new things, get new players in. So I just don't think, that really long-term is going to be a fit. And I also don't think he's ever leaving Carolina anyway. So I just don't see that happening. I think he's going to stay there, and that'll be fine. Mike Sullivan is somebody I mentioned on the podcast, other places, that if things really go bad in Pittsburgh, there's Pittsburgh connections here with Carmanos and Ventura. I don't know. Again, I don't think that's going to happen either, because he has a new contract there, and he's probably going to be there for a little bit. So beyond that, I don't know. One thing I started to do last night and then again today is start looking for connections to Adams, because if you think about a lot of these coaches that have been hired, recently Jacques Martin in Ottawa, he has the Ottawa connection. Knobloch in Edmonton, he has a connection to the management team and Connor McDavid in Edmonton. So there's always some sort of connection. Minnesota, I think it was just an internal promotion. So there's always some sort of connection there, right? So I started looking through. I'm setting this up like I have guys for talk about. I don't have anybody yet, but it's something that I'm trying to find maybe some options that fit, that have a connection to Adams and works out. I don't know. Maybe you want to go take a run at Mike Pekka in the offseason off the Rangers bench. Again, no experience. You probably want a guy with experience, but if you want a connection to Buffalo, familiar with players, that's an option you can explore too if you really wanted to. So I don't really have a good answer on the coach right now. Gallant was thrown in there. I'm not a fan of Gallant. I know he's had some runs with some teams, but they weren't very long and ended up being failures in the end. So, yeah. And Boudreaux, kind of like the same thing. I just think, I don't know. Again, his last few stops didn't go that well, so maybe it's kind of a game past your system by kind of thing. It just doesn't work. He can't even get back in the league. I think he's not in the league still. Maybe he's an assistant somewhere. I could have that wrong, but yeah. So I just think for a league that loves to recycle coaches, for a guy like Boudreaux not really be able to get behind the bench again, I think should be kind of a telling sign there. Okay, talked about GM, talked about the coach, player-wise, right? So I guess the big concern, because we've been to talk about Tyson Yost and how he's helping out an NHL player. Like I don't really think we need to go there. So I think our focus should be on the big players. So we have Owen Power, who's really in the struggles. I think he was staying afloat early in the season, but now I think his head's underwater a little bit. Darlene's had a lot of inconsistency. Thompson has the hand thing. And I just think that's never really it's going to be tough for that really to correct itself anytime soon. It's just going to be hard for him to grip the puck. It's going to be hard for him to shoot. And that's just the way it is. It's unfortunate. Maybe in like a month or so he starts to get it back, but I don't know. Alex Tuck, I think, has kind of been up and down. But again, I feel like that guy's been hurt since training camp. And then I think we get to Dylan Cousins, who maybe is the most disappointing player on this team. And I tried to give him a break when he had the fishbowl because I get it. It's hard, your peripherals. It's hard to see the puck. I completely understand that. But at the same time, it's not the same from him right now. And maybe that's part of the system. Maybe that was Jack Quinn. And we'll see when he gets Quinn back. It looks like against Toronto tomorrow that Quinn was back in his line, and maybe that changes things because one of the things Jack Quinn was really good at, and I thought it would help this team when he came back, and it clearly did not in the first game, is he was one of their better forwards in exiting the zone. So in all three zones, Corey Schneider's tracking data, he was one of their better players last year in zone exits, and also one of the key cogs in getting Dylan Cousins going in transition the other way. And then we know the experience that he has with Peterka. So maybe that sparks something there and gets Cousins going. And I fully understand as a numbers person and appreciate, the bad shooting luck because he's having that. He's had some really big opportunities to score, and he got a goal the other night. So now he's put together, 2 goals in 3 games? That's good. So maybe he's going him. So yeah. By the way, the hand injury thing, I do know what it is, but I can't tell you. So that's why I put a month on it because that's about what it seems like. So to answer Luke's question, but yeah, so Cousins, I think that's disappointing. Middlestad has been good, so that's good. And then I think Skinner, the other kind of big guy on your team, has been up and down, right? He's still scoring his goals, but I don't think he's as effective as he was last season. And yeah, Yoki Haru's been okay. And then your defenseman, one signed for 3 years in Clifton. That hasn't gone well. Eric Johnson's been better as of late, I would say. But overall, there's holes there, right? It's just not a complete roster. And that's what you get for bringing the entire team back, to wrap it back into Adams. There was holes on this roster at forward specifically going into the offseason, and just literally every single player came back at forward. And it wasn't necessary. It's like you almost went out of the way. Like you didn't need to bring Tyson Jost back. It's okay. He can go. You can get somebody else. You didn't need to bring Girgensons and Oposo back. Like when Girgensons comes back, who's he going in for? Legitimately, I don't think he can get back in, but he will. So is that when Robinson comes out? But Robinson's cooled off since his hot start. But I still think he gives you more from a speed aspect than what Girgensons will give you. But he's probably gonna go back in unless another coach is here by the time he's on the ice. That's not impossible. So yeah, I mean that's the 3 phase. I don't think I need to keep hammering on it. Everybody knows. But yeah, I think to roll it all back in, and kind of put a bow on this whole thing where I've kind of just rambled here for 20 minutes. It's gone a lot longer than I thought it would. Is I started saying I'm more of a level-headed approach where it's not, I don't want to say the end because that seems like doom and gloom, but it's not jump off bridges bad yet. There is opportunity to get out of this. I wrongly, I think maybe, perhaps, I'll admit, have belief that Adams will realize the mistake that he's made, and that he will push this team, or at least attempt to. Again, I don't think it'll be in the season, but in the offseason, make those moves, take those swings, because he really hasn't had his signature moment yet, right? So I think that's what we have to get from him. He has to put his signature stamp on it. And I think that's coming. And then the question becomes, is it a good stamp? Is it the right or multiple swings? Are these the right swings? The way I put it on Twitter is he hit a home run or is he hit a pop fly to second? And then maybe that's when you hit that problem. So yeah, I just and again, like I said, it could be misplaced belief in the people they have in that front office. I know there are some very smart people. I know there are people who have had success in other organizations that are managing this team, and not everything they've done has been a failure, right? I mean, I know that the drafting, we could say so it looks like have succeeded on, but that's only one part of it. The free agent signings all the way through Adams' entirety tenure has been poor, so maybe just stay away from those. The trades that he's made when he's done it haven't been that bad. I mean, talk about the Eichel, the Reinhardt, the Greenway, Stillman, if you want it, So, and there's not that many trades to go off of, right? So it's hard to be like. But when he's done it, he's had them work for him. So I would say that's the line you want to go down. But it's got to be something. It's disappointing that it's can't really do anything now. Nor do I think I really want him to make that desperation move right now, because that could be bad. And that's perhaps where a mistake could be made. And I know I sound like somebody who's just saying the season's in the tank. I mean, it kind of is, and just give up on it, and it is what it is kind of thing. But yeah, I think he's better off fully evaluating this team, what he has, the players he has, some of the core players that he has too. I didn't even talk about Samuelson as one of the core players that's struggling. Like, my God, man, like that has gone really bad. And that's the one that I think, you got to really look at. I mean, you hand a long-term contract there, and that is not going well, and he's continually being jammed into that top 4 spot when he probably long-term that's just not what he is. And it's okay. It's okay if he turns out to be a third pair guy and a nice, and not play those top pair minutes. It's not okay that he makes $4 million doing it probably, but as the salary cap's going up, is it really going to kill you? Probably not. You can get away with it, but it doesn't look good at the end of the day. So, I mean, yeah, it's really, it's wild that we're sitting here in December when we were having these same conversations last March, right? You need another defenseman. You need 1 or 2 more forwards. You need to do something in goal. And for the most part, the goals have, the goalies have been okay, I guess, besides Comrie's up and down and he's hurt and then not hurt and then whatever. And then, Levi and Luukkonen have been their young, inconsistent selves. And that's just going to play out that way this entire season. And yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how well that turns out for them. But it could have been a lot worse. So at least, I could say that part is whatever. So yeah, I think that's really it. It's frustrating. I'm tired with it. I'm exhausted by it. But I'm not at, how many years before Dahlin has to be out. Like, I'm not there. Like, come on. Like, the guy's going to be wearing the C next year. Like, he's not going to go anywhere. He's not going to ask out. I'm not at Adams is a complete idiot that doesn't know how to fix this team, and they're doomed and they got to reset again. Like, I don't think we need to be there. And I'm not going to blame anybody that is, as I said in the beginning. If you want to get there, I don't have anything to tell you that you shouldn't be. But that's just where I happen to find myself. So yeah, 30 minutes. 30 minutes I went. I don't know. Let's go. A lot of people have hung out here for a while, throwing a lot of comments in. I've read some. I've tried not to throw my thought off by looking at them. So let's go 5 minutes here. Throw some questions in if you want. And I'll throw a few up here and answer them. So I'll open it to you for a couple minutes here to throw some questions in. As I let my voice reset here. See if I miss any good ones. I'm scrolling through. Questions. My mouse is dead. That's not good. There we go. Okay. First one that comes in. Yuri Kulik. So, plan is that he's going to go play for Czechia in the World Juniors. He should be the best player in that tournament, you would hope. I'm a little bit surprised they're sending him, but at the same time, I get it. Representing your country is a big thing, especially for those guys in Europe. So I understand letting him go and letting him do that. But I think this season we're probably not going to see much of an opportunity. He didn't really get a chance when he was here, neither did Rosine, but it kind of got the idea that from watching them, I do think there's more they need to work on. I don't think this is also an environment right now that you need to put them in. There's just so much that's on fire, and the pressure and the coach and all of that. So I don't think we see much of Kulik in the NHL this year. Go to the World Juniors, have yourself a great tournament, keep doing what you do in the NHL, and then we'll see where things go next year. That's really it. I have a lot of faith in that player. I think that he's really going to be something. All right, let's get to another one here. Oh, they're starting to fire in. Okay, let's go this one. Ownership, because I've seen this a lot. Ownership, Terry Pegula. Boy, this is a complicated question. Do I think that the owner, in terms of trades, coaches, is impacting the team? No. I also think this is mainly Kevyn Adams' show. Not to say that Terry Pegula isn't involved in some regard, but definitely not, from my understanding, to the point he was a couple of years ago. Right? This is mainly Kevyn Adams' show for him to run, and I think that's better. However you feel about Adams, I think that's the better way to go about it. Now, in terms of salary, well, how do I want to put this? I think that, I guess the easiest way to say it, I think there's some restriction there. To the point, I don't think it's anything at this point that has hampered Adams. I think if he's want to do something, he could do it. But I don't ever know if we'll see them, at least in the near future, be at the cap team, right? Ceiling, like maxed. At least not until things start to get going in the right direction again, right? So that's the way I'll put it, so I don't get yelled at. So yeah, I'll kind of I'll leave that there before I say too much else. Let's see. Ooh, this is a good question. Prospects, they all seem like the same guy. Really good question. Really interesting. So the answer to that for me is yes and, well, I would say no. So here's why I say no. Let's just talk about their main guys, right? So Kulik, I think, is more of your middle six winger guy, power play specialist, great shot. His two-way game has improved. That's something I've really been focused on when I've watched the Amerks, and the tracking data we do, the numbers behind that indicate that his defensive game has improved. So I think he's more along the line of, without the speed, I think maybe he's in that JJ Peterka kind of category. Isaac Rosane, I think, is a little bit different. And while also he's that power play guy, he's that skilled winger, I think there's more of a two-way game there. So I see him as a long-term, the way teams are built now, right? You expect scoring out of your third and fourth line. I think Rosane is the perfect fit for a guy on your third line. Could play two-way hockey. I know he doesn't have the size, so you don't think of like that big banger bruiser, but when you watch him play in the AHL, he is good on the boards. He goes to the net. He goes to those areas. He's not afraid from it. He takes hits. He pops back up. It kind of reminds you of Benson a little bit, but Benson is like at that next level. So I don't think he's at that level, but it's similar to that. So I think that's a different type of player there in Rosén. And then you have Aslan, who's in Sweden. I think he's the only one out of those three that I mentioned that is a legitimate center. I don't think Coolidge is going to be a center at the next level. Obviously, Rosén is not. He's a winger. And I don't know that Matt Savoy is a center at the next level. We'll get to him in a minute. So Aslan, I think, is different as a maybe third-line center. Now, Aslan, I'm not even sure he ever makes it to Buffalo. Not that he's not good enough. I just think if you think of guys that they can move, he's probably the top of the list for me. And there might still be some interest for him as a 13th overall pick 2 years ago. And then you have Matt Savoy. Matt Savoy is your speedster, right? He's that thing. So he's done really well since he's gone back to Wenatchee. He's going to play big minutes for Canada Laurel Juniors. So maybe if you can, and again, it's not the same style as Kulik, because Kulik, I think, has more size and things a little bit different. He's more tactical, where Kulik also will attack on the rush too, where I think Savoy is that boom, up and down the ice with speed on the rush. That's his play style. So I think when you look at your major prospects in that regard, if you look at those four guys, it all looks like they're similar style in terms of size, smaller. Besides Kulik, he has some size to him at 6 foot. But I think when you break down what they're good at and what their skill set is, they're actually different prospects, and they are good in different areas that I think will fit as this team layers out moving forward. Long-winded question, but there's an answer to that. Let's do two more here. Let's try to scroll down. Trying to find a different type of questions. Hold on. Let's try to find one more. A lot of Don Granado questions, so I'm trying to find one that I'm going to talk about Don here in a second, but I'm trying to get everybody's Granado question into one thing, so I'm reading a few. So give me a minute. Okay, so let's throw up just a random Granado question here. Hold on. All right, so let's throw up this one on the D, right? Why is he so into keeping the D pairs the same? I think it's kind of what I talked about a little bit earlier, that it's a comfort thing. When things are going poorly and going bad, he's reverting back to that. He said today after practice, when he rolled out the same lines of practice, pairs, that there was going to be change. So we'll see how that shakes out. But yesterday, he, as I, pointed out and predicted, if you look at pairs that have played at least 50 minutes together in following hockey's model, he dressed and played the 3 worst pairs on the team. So I don't know. I don't have a good answer why he sticks to it. It's weird because for the last 2 years, he's been a guy that if the younger player plays well, he's going to get in. But it seems to be a reluctancy with Brian Johnson, so we can keep Eric Johnson and Clifton in. I don't know. It's been a weird shift with him this year. He's had a lot of younger guys come up that he's not giving minutes to. It's been an interesting, weird shift. And maybe it's because this team is going somewhere different this year, but I don't know. That's another thing that it's kind of weird how he's made that shift this season. In terms of just how long that I think he has left, that was asked. I think a couple weeks, to be honest, if they don't turn around. Look, pro sports is ruthless, right? If you don't do your job, there's no mercy, and you're out. But I also could see the side where Kevin Adams is going to wait a little bit longer here. One, this is probably the healthiest lineup they're going to put on the ice tomorrow against Toronto. They've had in probably a month or two. So I think maybe he wants to give Granado an opportunity to see what he can do with that group. 2, it is the holidays. It's rough to fire a guy around the holidays. And then 3, I hate using an excuse, But if we're going to talk about real life, um, there's family stuff that he has going on with his brother Tony Granato. Just announced a few days ago that he has cancer. So there's a lot of stuff there. Does that mean he gets to keep his job forever? No, of course not. But I think those are a few reasons, off ice and on ice, that this probably goes at least another couple of weeks to see if he can turn things around. And also, you look at it too. He's, I mentioned he earned it and deserved it. I think that's can be part of it too. Adams thinks he's earned the opportunity to try to turn this around with your almost, basically full roster at this point, right? So, we'll see. So I think there's a few weeks there. I think somebody asked if I think he could turn it around. I think he could. It's possible. Through 33 games, we haven't seen any signs of it, so that's concerning. But yeah, we'll see. You never know. Hockey's a weird game. It's a weird game. I always tell the time it's a stupid sport, which probably isn't a good thing to say for somebody who covers hockey, but it is. It's a weird game. Goofy things happen. You never know. You never know. Okay, one more. We're at 40 minutes. We are really cooking here. This is actually having fun. You guys having fun? I'm having a little bit of fun. Let's see. That's a good question. I'm looking. The young and inexperienced thing, I think, only plays so long. I think he has to move past that because I'm looking for a different type of question. Yeah, I think they have to move past the young thing. Like that doesn't play anymore, man. You, the coach and the GM decided you wanted to put a young roster on the ice. That doesn't get to be an excuse. Like that, no. That doesn't play for me anymore. Okay. Let's talk about Casey Middlestat. I love talking Middlestat because it's such an interesting question. So interesting. So this was, do you think Middlestat is going to be a center going forward in the lineup, or is he shipped out for a big move? Very interesting. So do I think he's a center? I'll revert back to how I felt previously. Is I don't think long-term that he is. I think he fits better on the wing. So that's just my personal opinion. He's played well at center, so I could be wrong about that, but that's just what I think. And, but I think he's going back to center with Benson and Greenway, so that'll be fun. So he's going back to center. It could work. If he wants to be a third-line center, that's fine. That's awesome. Okay. He's a restricted free agent. What do you do with him? So interesting. Because on one hand, we want roster change, and you can't bring everybody back. On the other hand, right now, he was on pace to be your second leading scorer as of a couple days ago. So you don't really want to throw that away. He seems to fit in this system, but you can't really pay everybody. So, maybe the answer here is you do a short-term thing, and you kind of kick that can down the road. Because they don't have another option as a third-line center, if you will, to come in. There's nobody coming up that can play center. And then if you move Middlestat, you got to go another center. And that means it's probably a free agency signing. And as I mentioned, I don't want Kevin Adams anywhere near free agency based on his history the last 4 years. Stay away from free agency. So to wrap it all in, do I think he shipped out? I don't. I think the most logical solution here is a short-term deal, 2-3 years, nothing crazy from a money perspective. So then if you do decide you want to move him, if, I don't know, some center presents itself to you, then you can do that. Or if he's not center and he moves to the wing, and then we know how stacked they are at wing, you can then move him. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. Once we get out of the house being on fire, and we get down the road towards the off season. Oh my God, I can't even talk about the off season conversations in December. But that one's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun conversation to have with a lot of people. Okay, I think that's it. Covered a lot. I had a lot of fun for 45 minutes. Crazy, 45 minutes. I thought I'd go like 15. So yeah, Toronto tomorrow. Leaf fans in the building, a lot of them. It'll be interesting how that goes. Typical Sabres fashion, they win like 5-2 tomorrow. But if it goes the other way, 5-1, 6-1 Toronto, that building's going to look rough. It's going to look ugly. So hopefully things turn around there with almost fully healthy lineup. If everybody's back, if Skinner's back, if Greenway's back in, you get that full thing there. So, yeah. Hey, look at Buffalo, Toronto. Even when the Sabres are bad, always a fun game. Okay, so I think if you're going to the game tomorrow, you're going to have a good time. Those games are always good when Sabres and Toronto. When the Sabres are bad, when Toronto is good. So I think you're going to get a good game there if you're going to that game. So enjoy yourself. Have fun. Holiday season. So on that note, everybody have a safe holiday and a happy new year. Enjoy your time with family. Hopefully the team starts playing better. And we could have some more fun conversation. The vibes come back. We could start to have fun again. It might not result in a playoff spot this year because of the hole they dug, but I don't know, man. I just want to have fun again, right? I just want it to be fun to watch, and that's kind of sad. That's all I'm asking for right now, but really that's just what I would like to have again. Let's bring the fun back. So we will talk to you soon on the podcast with Anthony back in here before the new year, of course. And if something was to happen, of course, we'll definitely do an emergency podcast to get that into. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out, and we will talk to you soon. See ya.